the Broncos go into the regular season with a little bit of momentum, coming off a 23-13 victory over the visiting Minnesota Vikings. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown. Matthew Peterson here, and we're going to break down this Broncos Week 3 preseason finale victory that looked so much better than Week 2 in Buffalo, right? The beauty of playing in front of your own crowd, where the Broncos went 2-0 this preseason, but a lot of good takeaways from this game and a lot of big conversations we are going to have for the last couple roster spots, right? I mean, Brett Rypien and Josh Johnson, it's still neck and neck. I thought Rypien was probably the better quarterback today, and I think coaches know that. Now, when you go 14 for 21, buck 37, and an interception, just those numbers right there may not jump out to you. But when you also take into account some of the drops he had to deal with in the red zone, that's also something coaches take notice of, and they know not to hold that against Rypien. Now, just like how Brett Rypien was in fourth quarter cleanup duty the last 2 weeks, this time it was Josh Johnson's turn. And I thought he fared pretty well. For playing with all the backups and going up against all the backups, he didn't screw up or anything, but we've got a lot of takeaways from this game. I first want to probably start things off with just giving a round of applause to KJ Hamler. Awesome to see him come back. And, I mean, sure, he didn't have like 100 yards and 5 touchdowns, but that's fine. Only 5 targets. First little comeback route, right? Short little in route where he just took it and picked up a couple of yards. That was great to see. All in all, 3 receptions for 18 yards. KJ Hamler needed this kind of return. He didn't need to have a red carpet of, a whole bunch of fancy, cool stats. No, he just needed to get back in the flow of things. He played 3 series, if I remember correctly. So I liked what I saw to Hamler. Let's show the guy some love. We've done this before on the channel. I don't think it ever gets old, right? Type 1 to welcome KJ Hamler back officially. After not playing since the end of September last year, it's awesome to see him back on the field. Now, if we actually want to talk about maybe the defensive side of things, the biggest takeaway here was a no-doubter. McTelvin Agim, a player I have been critical of because the former third-round pick out of Arkansas has not played like someone who's going to make this roster up until this point. But he was great against the Vikings. 2 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, one of which led to a scoop and score from Baron Browning, who has been a preseason legend so far. But Agim, he knew he had to come out and play well. He knew that if he wanted to make this roster, he needed to have a stellar game. And we got that out of him. Was it too little, too late? I don't think it was too little. I just wonder if it was maybe a little bit too late. You know what I'm saying? Hey, congrats to McTelvin Agim. Is George Paton going to go, ultimately, I'm only going to take 5 defensive linemen, Williams, the 2 Joneses, Purcell, and my rookie EU out of Iowa State. That's all she wrote. Or could McTelvin Agim make a good case for, you know what? Deshaun Williams isn't all that proven. You sure you want to put all your eggs in that one basket? No. Take me along. Don't ditch your third rounder. So I loved what I saw out of him. I thought he had a great game, and a lot of players had some good games. And we have a lot of ground to cover on this show. But first, if you are ready for regular season football, because the funny thing about preseason is we get all worked up and we get all excited about wide receiver 6 conversations. And then you're reminded, like when Justin Simmons was being interviewed on the sideline, and he goes, all right, everyone's talking about Russell Wilson, right? Number 3, Russ this, Russ that. Who is someone people are not talking about? His answer? Backwards. Jerry Jeudy, number 10. So I'm excited to see that. File that away for your fantasy football drafts right there. So subscribe for the best Broncos coverage on YouTube. Now we have some injury news to get to. The Broncos came out of this game relatively healthy, unlike the Vikings. But Brandon Johnson did go down early with an ankle injury. That's a bummer because I have been sort of the self-proclaimed CEO of the Brandon Johnson fan squad, and I'm curious to see, one, the severity of the ankle injury. I'm looking at for some press conference takeaways right now, and there's nothing about it. So does this really impact things? Because when we look at this right here, I think all 4 guys on screen are going to make this roster. 3 are locks. Hendon, I feel, is safe. Montrell Washington is a lock, and we'll talk about him more in detail in just a second. But those are 5 right there. Dwayne Stukes, the special teams coordinator, he wants Tyree Cleveland. He talked about that in his presser the other day. And then you've got Seth Williams, Jalen Virgil, and Brandon Johnson. All 3 players have had great games and moments in the preseason. Now, we can do a deeper dive on that in just a second, but I kind of want to shift gears to Montrell Washington because of the speed he has. Montrell Washington is almost like a college player in the NFL, where does he have a position? He kind of invented positionless football right here. That's what I want to get at here. Almost like positionless basketball. What is Montrell Washington? Fast and good with the football. That's the game plan. We don't care how it's done. Punt, kick, on end arounds, whether he's actually lining up as a receiver. Get him the football, good things will happen. This has been probably the biggest rookie, along with Nick Bonitto, who had a great game today we'll talk about later on. But Montrell Washington definitely with a nice touchdown run. Only one of 2 touchdowns after Baron Browning. That was great to see right there. Now, before we get to the rest of our recap, Fanatics has an awesome deal for you guys right now. 40% off t-shirt combo. It's hot out. Beat the heat while still repping your Broncos gear. When you go to chatsports.com/Broncos combo, that link's in the comments and the description of today's show. So some other quick names I want to hit on here. Nick Bonitto, for example, one we just mentioned, he had 2 sacks towards the end of the game to kind of really seal the deal against Minnesota. DeLaren Turner-Yell, another rookie, he went into the tent with concussion protocol. He comes out, and what does he do? On 4th and goal, he sacks Kellen Mond. So this was a awesome sort of set yourself up for momentum going into Seattle. How much momentum really comes from the preseason? I'd argue very little. But when you win, you at least get to spin the narrative because preseason games only matter if you win. That's the rule. Everyone knows that. So I'm trying to think of any other big notes and takeaways I'm missing out on right now. I guess the big question maybe coming from this is still, who's going to get that last wide receiver spot? I think it'll be Brandon Johnson as long as his ankle injury isn't too serious. But Seth Williams and Jalen Virgil both had great nights, right? Now some drops, unfortunately, for both of them. And that's something they're going to beat themselves up on. But they absolutely put together a good resume this entire preseason to show, hey, and if it's not with the Broncos, someone else might claim them off waivers. And I don't know if Peyton is going to be confident enough to try and sneak them through the waiver wire to get them on the practice squad. Because it's going to be risky letting these guys go after the preseasons they've had so far. Before we send you on your way and enjoy the rest of your night, listen, preseason is over. It's regular season now. It's real football time. So if you are ready for Broncos versus Seahawks Monday night, Steve Levy won't be there. He was on the call tonight, Jeremy. My favorite comedian, Steve Levy. He was he did a Broncos preseason game last year. He's the best. But hey, give me a let's ride. Because Broncos country, let's ride. All right, follow me on Twitter. Hit that subscribe button. All my cliche YouTuber stuff right here. If you want to stay in the know on the latest things surrounding your Broncos, that it will do it for us tonight. Enjoy the win. We'll see you guys later with some winners and losers and all that kind of stuff tomorrow.